And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, happy Friday. Ben, how was your Juneteenth? You have a nice day off?
It was nice. How was yours?
That was good.
Yeah.
Uneventful.
Went and saw a film.
Like a
movie?
Like a mainstream movie? Or...
I did. I went and saw The Materialist. It was all right.
What's the premise? I don't follow movies
Kind of
these
billed
days.
as a rom-com, but it's a love triangle with Dakota Johnson, Pedro Pascal, and Chris Evans.
Pedro Pascal, the Narcos guy?
Yeah.
Okay. He seems to be in a lot.
He's in everything. Yeah, he's everywhere.
He's the kind of it thing.
He's Joel in The Last of Us. Yeah, he's
you know what? I've intentionally passed on that show.
He's in Fantastic Four, right? I think coming out.
Is that some sort of
Superhero.
like kids movie?
Yeah. So yeah, he's everywhere. You're right. He's doing everything.
RC Comics or whatever it is?
It's RC. It's RC Comics. Yep.
Or is that the cola? I get them confused.
I don't even know if it's a Marvel or a what.
Well, what kind of nerd are you?
I'm not a nerd.
Christian knows.
Yeah, I'm not a nerd. I don't know what to tell you. No, I'm not that type of nerd.
What's the question? Sorry,
Where does Fantastic Four come from?
Yeah, what universe is that in?
It's Marvel.
Yeah.
It is Marvel.
Get it together.
They go to space, they come back mutated.
Tell you that Stan Lee was an endless source of ideas, no?
Yeah, creative.
Very, very creative. Well, Christian, did you have a good day off? You do anything fun?
Yeah, weird enough, I had a friend who got married yesterday. So,
Whoa, all right.
Went up to that. But
Congrats to Christian's friend. What wedding in the mountains? You said you went up to that.
it was up in Logan, yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful,
Fancy.
beautiful vineyard place. It was nice.
Big to-do or kind of an intimate affair?
No, it was medium-sized, I guess.
Shotgun wedding?
No.
Okay. I don't know.
Just
why.
the one. Just the one.
Oh, man. Weddings are the best. You know this about me. I'm a wedding person.
Several wedding scenes in The Materialist. That's kind of where it's a near meet cute, but it's not.
Lloyd's in the other room. He got married at like the courthouse.
Yeah.
Like how lame
No,
is
the
that?
jailhouse. Yeah,
no,
it
it wasn't. It wasn't a prison thing.
Yeah,
no.
there was a lady writing him fan letters.
I wish that were true so much. No, I was saying you got married at the courthouse. Don't give me that look. And then Ben made a classless joke, obviously, about Jailhouse, and I didn't want to participate. Be disappointed in Ben. Wasn't my joke. Anywho. It was kind of a wildly busy sports day.
Yeah.
Ben, including a bunch of stuff that's right up our wheelhouse, including my Pacers pushing a Game 7 in a very uninteresting affair.
Yeah, I don't want to say against all odds, but certainly it felt like the deck was stacked against them going into this game with the rumored injury. And clear, I mean, yes, I don't think he rumored. Tyrese Halliburton's hurt. We don't know to what extent, but you hear calf, and calf can be any number of things. But with how well the Thunder had closed the fourth quarter, though remember that was a 2-point game with 8 minutes to go, 6 minutes to go. In Game 5, you thought maybe going back to Indiana, they'd wrap this thing up, and it just was outside of the 10-2 run to open the game, it was all Indy.
And the thing is, not only did the Pacers win to force a Game 7, but this was the way that the most advantageous way for them to win.
Yes, this was, you could not have written a better script for
Right.
what they're dealing with.
Yeah. So did you, I'm sure you did, scan the minutes of what some of these guys played?
If you only have to play your injured star 23 minutes, you've done a great job.
That is
and
ideal.
He rested the entire fourth quarter.
Right.
He didn't play a second of the fourth quarter, I don't believe. So, yeah, if you can do that, you're going to be in really good shape. And it was 30 going into the fourth quarter. It was kind of teetering at 18 for parts of the third. And you thought, like, I've just seen this enough in this playoff run. 18's not a safe lead in the NBA anymore. And it got back up to 23. It was like, okay, who's going to close the quarter on a 6-0 run? And if it's 18, the Thunder can win. And if it's the Pacers, it's over. And the Pacers did it. It was 30, and they could do whatever they wanted.
Oh, okay. Pascal Siakam led the Pacers in minutes with 32.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was the ideal way to win, to give themselves the best chance in game number 7. However, the Thunder were terrible.
This was the worst game I've seen the Thunder play this year, easily.
I mean, terrible.
Yep.
So, as excited as I am to give the Pacers credit, the Thunder were really bad. So, excited we have a game 7. We can get more into that. I have a candidate for somebody who's having a really bad day today.
Bozo of the week?
I don't know about Bozo
Okay.
of the week
Okay.
per se, but somebody who other people are having a really good day.
Uh-huh.
This person is having a really
Okay.
bad day.
Okay.
One, Linda Rambus.
Okay.
She's having a bad day today.
I thought of you immediately, and here's how I know this show has a little bit of juice. Because as soon as I saw the story that the Lakers were being sold, I thought, I know who's going to love this. I know who can't wait to get back on the radio, and it's one Jake Scott, because does my man have some jokes lined up?
Linda's having a bad day.
Linda Rambus is having a toughie.
She's having a tough day because Jeannie is just holding on by a thread, trying to get her power cemented into writing. That says nothing about Linda. Linda's having a bad. Linda's power is all but disappeared today.
So because I made an oath to do this better, explain some of our inside jokes that go back a ways. There was a report at one time that Kurt Rambis was running the Lakers because he was a confidant of Jeannie Buss and even Phil Jackson, or was it post Phil?
No, Phil was involved. Yeah.
And former Laker, Four Eyes, Kurt Rambis. Sorry, everyone wears glasses. Was apparently involved in not signing off, but sculpting decisions the Lakers were making. And then it even got escalated to the point was Kurt Rambis' wife was involved because she and Jeannie are tight, right?
So, yes, you've got the framework, but it's way more salacious, which is just delicious, really. Because Linda and Jeannie have been BFFs pre-Kurt.
Okay.
So this is a relationship that is not
Oh, interesting.
really that connected to Kurt, other than you ask yourself, how does a moron like Kurt Rambis keep getting hired as the head coach of the LA Lakers? Well,
That's how.
there's your answer.
He's a family friend of the Busses.
And then Phil and Kurt were close, so you can imagine when Phil was dating Jeannie and Kurt and Linda, it was that dynamic. And Linda has been Jeannie's Rasputin. This is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
For decades.
Yes.
So Linda, whose Rasputin connection just sold the
was severed,
franchise
yeah.
for $10 billion.
Yeah.
And is likely, we could talk about this, on her way out of influence as well.
Yeah.
Now Linda's like, oh man, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Because Kurt sure has no reputation left in the NBA.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. She's got no pull.
so what's going on here? And I didn't really get a taste of that $10 bill.
Yeah. Nothing. Maybe we'll go on a vacation, but Kurt doesn't have billions.
No, maybe
Kurt might have millions.
bonus me out
Might
a
not
little
have
bit.
any,
But
yeah.
You gotta take a trip to Kauai or something. But what are we gonna do now?
Yeah.
And the interesting thing, and we can parlay certainly interesting discussions off this, but the Busses are part of the vanishing few ownerships that are not only pretty entire of the franchise. You know, it's not a group, it's a family. You know what I mean? And I don't know exactly what the breakdown in minority owners was. I'm sure she had some. But that's all they've got.
Yeah.
I know the old man had some real estate stuff or whatever, but their business is the Lakers.
Right. He traded all of his real estate to get the Lakers.
Yes.
That was how he got the money, but he literally like swapped the whole shebang to get the Lakers.
So much like the Davises with the Raiders, it's a similar thing. You know, Larry Miller, when he owned the Jazz, he also had a pretty significant interest in the car industry at the same time. He wasn't just the owner of the Jazz. Obviously, Ryan Smith not just the owner of the Jazz. He has many irons in the fire, as they say.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a disappearing guard of these owners, these family owners that are selling out for incredible amounts of money.
Yeah.
And the idea that the previous guard will hold on to control over it after this, regardless of what ends up in writing, is not likely.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a change. This is a really fundamental change in probably the NBA's most important franchise. And this guy is going to spend whatever. Have you seen what the Dodgers are spending? And that's deferring Shohei's stuff
Yes.
decades into the future.
The difference, I guess, being the new luxury or the new salary cap rules with the tax aprons
Right.
really want to make sure that you can't do what I think people are afraid that this new owner is going to do. They really just make it impossible to spend so much money. We talked about it with the Warriors and their ownership group being willing to say, yeah, we'll have a $500 million, $750 million, not three quarters, but $2/3 of $1 billion, $1/3 of $1 billion salary with all the luxury tax penalties. As long as we're winning championships, I don't care. That's what I want to be a part of. The new salary rules in the NBA, the new CBA really doesn't even let you do it because you can't bring players in certain ways that you used to be able to continue to rack up the dough. Now, you can have huge salaries still. Look at the Phoenix Suns. They have it. But they do make it really hard to maintain those rosters and actually still be able to compete. So it may not be what the Dodgers are doing as far as how do they trade for all these players and bring in all these superstars year after year after year.
Well, certainly what you're pointing out is that sports are different and collective bargaining agreements are different, which I certainly understand. But what the Buss family has done for years has been quite miserly because they're not made of liquid cash.
Sure.
They haven't necessarily, and David talked about this a little bit this morning on his show, they haven't paid out the nose for the best coach, or they haven't upgraded facilities, or they haven't invested necessarily in the front office or the scouting staff or whatever goes into making a great franchise, which actually is the great failure, in my opinion, of specifically Jeannie Buss, is that she never really invested in the stuff that makes a good NBA franchise. She just signed LeBron in free agency.
Coasted off the value of the team name.
Right. Never, and I don't think the old man behaved that way.
Okay.
He invested in the franchise, and the building was extremely important, and all those sorts of things. So maybe, certainly more so than the kids have done.
To the point where it's, in retrospect, weird that the Lakers and Clippers shared a building for so long.
Absolutely.
Like, just kick them out. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's hard to get real estate in Los Angeles, but it's not that hard.
No,
they shared a building forever.
No, much like there is a lot of comparisons to the Millers and the Busses. Because it's Larry and Gail, and you've probably, read it in Larry's biography or heard Gail talk about it or whatever. They built it from nothing. I mean, they had to. Yeah. Larry did not have the money to invest in the Jazz when he did.
Right.
He got some backing from some other, prominent members of the community and banking, assured some things, and obviously Larry took it from there, and the rest is history. But like the Busses were similar. I mean, honestly, that HBO show was pretty good. Mm-hmm. Showtime. Yeah. You go back and look at it and what.
Winning Time, but yeah.
What is Showtime? Sorry, Winning Time.
Yeah.
You look at what the old man had to do just to get the Lakers and then kind of operated on a wing and a prayer to create the Showtime thing through taping it together. I mean, the show actually illustrates it really well with Jeannie, who was in charge of like events and stuff. It's like, we've got to get this crazy stuff in here because we can't afford to do any of this. Point is, it's a different type of owner now. And
yes.
And the Lakers will get more resources and be a better run franchise, which, I mean, minus the fact that they don't have any resources. So it's going to take some time. But I do expect the Lakers to be much better run in the future. Jeannie aside.
I think so. I think you're correct. I think they will fill out the rest. I think they will make everything, practice facilities, front office stuff, everything will be better there. And that helps because you can hire more people, you can have bigger coaching staffs, et cetera, better scouting departments, et cetera. They can fill that out, and I think you're right. That's where they will become more impactful and more noticeable.
But see, this guy's smart. You know what I mean? He probably had it written right in the deal. Linda cleans out her office tonight.
Yeah.
Linda and Kurt are out. It's so funny. And the family owners open themselves up to great storylines like that and the interpersonal workings of it. And I do worry some about the corporatism of sports. You know, it has become the world's safest investment for people with an extraordinary amount of money.
Yeah.
This guy doesn't care what he spent on the Lakers. It's just going to be a bank for him.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, he's going to park this incredible amount of money that would have been sitting, I don't know how much you have in checking account when you're that wealthy, but,
Yeah.
you know, doing nothing. This is the way sports are going. As long as they evolve with media distribution and figure out ways to monetize that correctly, what do you expect the Lakers to be worth in 5 years, 10? How
Yeah.
long did it take the Clippers to double in value after Ballmer bought it for $3 billion?
Right. I mean, the rumor is the Jazz have doubled in value since Ryan Smith bought them. That was 2020.
It's the new TV deal.
Yeah.
It's sports has become something different. And, you know, maybe it should have been a no-brainer, but it's crazy how if you develop a customer base that is loyal to you for reasons other than the product, which, of course, is the magic of sports radio, right? You know, Jazz fans are Jazz fans because they're Jazz fans.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how good the Nuggets get. They will always be Jazz fans. I mean, there are a few brands that generate that kind of thing. Like, I mean, maybe Coke and Pepsi is the best example.
Sure. Real loyalty.
Real brand loyalty that
Yeah.
Coke could start pumping out High C tomorrow and people would still drink it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But sports is the ultimate example of that. Look at how many people still packed FedEx Field when Dan Snyder owned the Commies.
Yeah, for sure.
It sold out. The worst run franchise maybe in sports history.
Yeah.
And they're still selling out every game. It's crazy. It's crazy. It always wins.
I saw a good take on TikTok. It was just some random dude. I don't know who it was, so I apologize. I'm stealing this from him. And you know what? This Dodgers owner now buying the Lakers has done a great job with the Dodgers, right? He has returned them to becoming the premier franchise in baseball. They're expected to win the World Series every year. They're awesome. But I agreed with this kid who said that when you have one owner owning 5 different teams, I think it can get really diluted. And I think one of the things that Jerry Buss actually did extraordinarily well, and I am basing this a little bit off of Winning Time, which of course is going to romanticize it. He had a real feel for Los Angeles and the fans and what the Lakers could be. And he designed a team to really match that environment. And I worry when you get these people who view it as an investment, they are going to stop caring about the fans. And you're just going to say, well, this is an investment portfolio. And the fans are going to be there, to your point. Regardless. So I'm just going to live off of that. Versus, like, credit Ryan Smith, like, he's a Jazz fan, and he does actually want the product of going to games to be enjoyable, whether the product on the court was not good last year or not. He's, like, obsessive about how it feels to be a part of this if you're a Jazz fan. And again, losing was a lot last year. He doesn't like that. He wants this to be a good product.
But I was in that building for all those games. So were you. The atmosphere was still terrific.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It was the game ops was still really good. The vibe was still awesome. They're still rooting for their team to win. I mean, he succeeded as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I remember the old green chair Delta Center days where the popcorn was very cardboardy.
Uh-huh.
And you had to wait in a 25-minute line just to get that.
Right.
And then you were beholden to what they had left.
Right.
And maybe they had soda, maybe not, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm exaggerating, obviously, but it's a different world.
Yeah, it is.
And they've built that building to be a different world. Speaking of Jerry Buss having the LA vibe culture, and this goes to a point, in my opinion, about the evolution of sport. But he put in a cocaine-fueled club in the basement of the building to have exclusive cocaine-fueled parties after every home game. To be L.A. or whatever, and to get the celebrities to sit in the front row and do all this stuff, which turned out to be 1,000% brilliant.
Yeah, genius marketing.
I totally agree. But the NBA of what would that have been, 81, 82?
Yeah.
And the NBA of today, very different.
Yeah.
You've heard about the evolution of Vegas, right? Where, the mob owned all this, and then, the corporations bullied the mob out long ago, and now Vegas is something completely different in the evolution of the gambling world. You can apply the same thing to sport. Like the cocaine-fueled club days are not necessary.
No.
They're just an added benefit, obviously, for dedicated season ticket holders. But they don't, again, it comes back to TV dollars fueling things, and it's no longer the traveling circus, so players don't play anymore. Because the business plan has evolved.
Yeah.
The model has evolved.
Right.
The competition is still there, but the model has evolved, and yeah, it's going to get more corporate. Because now the Lakers will get more priority than, say, I don't know, who else does he own? He owns like a part of a soccer team or something
He
like
owns
that.
the Sparks, right?
But they're getting bumped down the list, sure. But then that comes to the bottomless pit of dough to pay the right people to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's fascinating. But as far as the Lakers, establishment goes, I think it's a new day in that franchise.
I agree. There's also the curious aspect that the Dallas Mavericks, the Boston Celtics, and the Los Angeles Lakers have all sold in the last 3 years. It's weird. Those are three major markets. Dallas is the fourth biggest. LA's second biggest behind New York. I don't even know exactly, but it's up there, right? These are some of the biggest markets in the world, certainly in our country, and their major basketball franchises are being sold. And I don't know if that's because someone thinks there's a bubble, or if there are billionaires, and then there are billionaires now. And this guy, Mark Walter, who just bought it, is a capital B billionaire.
It's the latter.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is.
No, it's the latter. It's that, look at the timing. The new TV deal is about to hit. What happened the last time the old TV deal, hit? Spikes.
Yeah, franchise values go up.
Sell now before, as that hits, calculated into the value.
Yeah.
This is a high point. Now, for the next life of the contract, you're going to see values level off a little bit,
right.
but it's still sports. I mean, it's still going to go up. But this is a time, and then you look at those franchises who are not the Lakers, obviously, but are at highs. When Houston sold, they were at a high with James Harden and that whole thing, because that's an easy sale. Boston's coming off a title.
Dallas had Luka.
The time to sell is now.
Yeah, I think that's right.
You're
right. They're going to spike and plateau, and the super billionaires, the guys who are worth $100 billion or whatever, $80 billion versus the $2 billion, $3 billion people, can sit on the plateau. They don't care.
No, they don't care at all.
Because it's going to go from 10 that they bought it to 15 or 18 at some point. But the Lakers owners now, the Busses, who are the 2 and 3 and 4 billionaires, not the 100 billionaires, they go from 2 to 3 to 10 billion, and all of a sudden they're set.
Yeah, actually,
and they don't have to worry about the plateau.
Honestly, liquid, the Busses weren't even close to billionaires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't the story that when the Portland Trailblazers offered Paul Millsap a contract, Larry Miller had to go get a loan to pay his, because they gave him the poison pill.
Yeah.
It's like all the money was due
front.
the first day. And Larry Miller had to go get a loan from a bank to pay it because he didn't have the liquid cash. To your point, like, it's not. Look, I'm not hurt. I don't feel bad for anyone who owns an NBA team, and anyone who says they lose money is a lie. Like, clearly,
they don't.
It's a lie. But it doesn't mean there's money being put in your pocket.
No,
you don't get a weekly paycheck.
The year-to-year margin is actually incredibly slim. That's not where these owners, and that's why the capital B billionaires get into it, because they don't care about
Right.
They don't care about any of that. They care about where it's going.
Yeah.
because they're just parking dough. That's it. All right, stay tuned. More next. The Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is DJ and PK.
Joined now by Brandon Huffman, national recruiting editor for 24/7 Sports. Ryder Lyons, a 5-star quarterback. What do you think of Ryder, and what do you think the odds are he ends up in Provo?
I've said for 2 years that I think he's the best quarterback in the country. I know he's a top 5 quarterback nationally. He's the number 1 player in California. For my money, I will take him as the best quarterback. And this is big. I have maintained for a while it was a BYU-Oregon battle, and I have said do not discount BYU's efforts with him. And now they get their shot. They get the last visit. This could end up being the single most significant recruit Kalani Sitake has ever gotten in his 10 years at BYU. So all eyes are on Provo, not just with BYU fans, but I would say college football fans in general are tracking this one.
Catch DJ and PK mornings from 6 to 10 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. What you got Wednesday idea? Family performing groups.
Okay.
Would Jackson 5 be the automatic number 1? I know we've got a lot of Osmond folk
that's
around
awesome,
here.
But I like it.
I'd have to think about it.
Yeah.
All right, it's Jake and Ben. Time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com. Sponsored by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, Tyrese Halliburton was only on one leg, but the Pacers forced Game 7.
It's the finals. All of us got to give everything we have. I give everything I have for this group in this locker room. So just trying to come out here and play the best of my ability. My guys have had my back all year, and especially tonight, and that means the world to me.
Man, what is not to love about my Pacers?
It's an awesome team. It's really one of the cooler teams we've seen in the last several, I would even say decades of the NBA. Honestly, they win. I think they go down in lore as like the 03-04 Pistons that beat the Lakers. And you just thought, how did that team full of good players, and I think at one point, didn't the entire starting 5 make it to the All-Star team, or all of them but Tayshaun Prince did, or whatever it was? It's like they're a high-quality team. But we have had some examples of these teams over the past little while, and a lot of them flame out that you think, that's a cool team. And then they actually kind of push comes to shove and they get exposed. And I brought up the Grindhouse Memphis Grizzlies, or Grind City, and kind of how cool of a franchise or team that was. They never made it to the finals. If you wanted to say it was the Hawks that made that random run to the Eastern Conference Finals with Trae Young, they've never gotten close to getting back there. You might argue it set back the Portland Trailblazers 5 years because they made that one goofy run. And they kept investing and thinking, maybe Dame and C.J. McCollum can get us there again. And they never got close. So these teams that have made these improbable runs that never actually got close, and it was more fluky, I think it's safe to pull the Pacers out of that conversation. There's nothing fluky about this. They have one of the greatest regular season teams we've ever seen in this Oklahoma City Thunder roster, 100% on the ropes. That Pacers team, or that Thunder team, made a bunch of adjustments in games 4 and 5 to make sure they didn't fall down 3-1. They were getting back to playing Hartenstein in the starting lineup. They were changing the way they were using Jalen Williams as like a driver instead of a guy who's kind of just playing off the ball a little bit more. And I wonder if they've punched themselves out. I wonder if they have the adjustment now to go back and win Game 7 at home. Certainly they can, but you almost wonder if this series now favors the Pacers.
It does feel like Daignault is a little bit of a blind man wandering in the forest, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're right about the Hartenstein getting him back into the action. Well, why was he out in the first
place? Yeah, why
place?
did you pull him out?
In these big, and you pointed this out, I think, but these big, major changes at the weirdest possible time.
Before the series started.
Yeah. What?
You guys with 68 games?
What are you doing? They should be adjusting to you. We had this discussion at the time, and Indiana is certainly a flawed team. And it's wild that they've been the one who's kind of forced the adjustments, and Oklahoma City is wandering around wondering what to do. It's interesting. But Carlisle's a great coach.
And they looked truly clueless last night. They didn't look like they knew how to stop what was coming at them.
And the bleeding heart in me really likes the whole, who's our guy from Indiana who joins us?
Eddie White.
Eddie White, who's so great. Told us, and I've heard it from a couple of different places about this flowery story about Pascal Siakam, who was, acquired so late and sees the potential, has them all together during the offseason, and they have this kumbaya moment where they're really going to be this team of all teams. And, it's probably exaggerated, of course, but I would love to think that stuff wins.
Uh-huh.
And I guess not that Oklahoma City doesn't have that stuff, because you and I have talked about it. I do think it's cool, the commercial with the 3 of them as opposed to just Shea, and it seems like they've got a fair amount of that too. But I like to believe in that stuff. That's part of the, I don't know, sports romantic, I suppose.
It's what you're talking about, I think, is that this is a very well-connected team. And the Thunder are too, but the connectivity of this roster is really cool. It's not a bunch of individuals playing a part. It's a bunch of individuals who are funky, weird players.
Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton's a weird player. There's not a lot of guys like him. I kind of compared him to, he's got a little Steve Nash in him, but he's way taller. He's like not overwhelmingly statistically productive, but he's really good. Pascal's the same way. Like Pascal
Obi Toppin.
Yeah, Obi Toppin's like a total Knicks cast-off that they're like, yeah, great athlete, doesn't really do a whole lot else, is totally figured out. Miles Turner is a weird player. Like the things he does well, he hasn't done well at all in this series and still was really impactful last night. Nembhard's a weird player. They're just loaded with TJ McConnell. Everyone loves 3-and-D players. He's a 3-and-2 player or a 2-and-D player. He doesn't take threes. He likes to shoot those weird little mid-range jump shots. It's like they have all these funky dudes that have worked together. Rick Carlisle's a cast-off, right? He got chased out of Dallas.
Well, and Detroit for that matter.
And Detroit. And it all comes together, and it all really works together.
You know, you think of the championship team that Carlisle did have, to your point, Ben. That was a pretty wonky team, too. We remember Dirk, but it wasn't Dirk and Steve Nash.
We've also crowned Dirk as something he wasn't when he was playing.
Right.
He's also an extraordinarily flawed NBA player.
100%. But do you remember Jason Kidd had one foot in the grave when he was playing for that team? Jason Terry, the Jet, played a huge role. He had bounced around 4 or 5 different teams.
Jet, funky player. Jason Kidd, by that point, funky player. Tyson Chandler, funky player. Michael Finley, funky player. Like, good players, no question, but like weird players.
That fit and played well when they fit.
Yeah.
And in other places did not fit. Tyson Chandler spent the rest of his career basically chasing.
And had been chased off of, where did he start, Chicago?
No, the Hornets.
Hornets? Was he drafted by Chicago and traded? Whatever it was.
That's what it was. He was drafted by Chicago and traded to. He ended up in the Hornets because he had that. Remember that pick and roll season he had with Chris Paul when Chris Paul was young in his career.
Yeah, that's right. I'm thinking Hornets in Charlotte. You're right. In New Orleans.
In New Orleans,
Hornets. He played for the Knicks for a while. He just was a weird player.
Yeah.
He did spend a year with the Charlotte Bobcats.
The Bobcats. That's probably when they moved. It's probably on that roster when they moved spots. But yeah, weird player. But Rick Carlisle is really good with those types of guys. And credit him. That's awesome. That's really good coaching. I think one of the things we get wrong in the NBA draft is trying to find flawless players. And I think it's like, no, you got to find ways to win with guys who are flawed.
Right. Make them better and then make them fit.
Yeah. And Carlisle is doing that at a very high level.
And that maybe is what I find so obnoxious about players like Luka. It's like you're not making anybody better. You're not making any fit.
Sure.
You're making yourself better, I guess, but like that's
and you're making guys fit you.
And you're great point.
Right.
You're making guys fit you to the point where you're taking the ball out of LeBron James's hand in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
I don't know if that's the recipe for winning. I really don't.
Yep.
All right. What's next?
Number 2, BYU fans, mark your calendars. June 24th, 5-star prospect Ryder Lyons is going to announce his commitment.
That's what, Wednesday? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Ride or die, Ben.
He's the highest rated remaining quarterback on the board.
Sounds like it's between BYU and Oregon, by the way.
Okay.
He's from Folsom, and he's kind of a dual threat guy, but does have passing stats, so don't misunderstand that, I guess.
Yeah.
I've seen BYU land big-time quarterbacks before. What happens next, you know? And in this day and age, who's to say he's even on the team? But, you know, anytime you can land a high-profile guy, that's a win. So I'd be curious to see what his compensation package looks like.
Yeah, and that's got to be what it's coming down to right now. I would imagine that's a big part of it. And maybe at this point, you have so much money on the table from both schools, then you can really actually start to get back to nitpicking, you know, where do I want to live? What do I want my school life to look like? What's easier for my family, et cetera, et cetera. That's where it's interesting, and that's a good spot for BYU. If you can get there where you can compete financially, maybe you can sell these kids on different things.
I'm just thinking about this off the top of my head. Maybe we ask Mitch about it someday. Who's the highest-rated quarterback BYU's ever gotten that has actually succeeded at BYU?
Okay. Like who actually came in as a 4-star, 5-star?
Ben Olsen, Jake Heaps, huge.
Bus.
And then didn't work out, right? Tanner Mangum, huge get.
Yeah. And was fine.
But wasn't
honestly like Tanner of those is the best player.
But I mean, I certainly can't remember where Steve Young was. How he was thought of going into BYU. Jim McMahon, I know that Notre Dame passed on him, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know about some of those other quarterbacks, but
Taysom Hill was a 4-star.
He was a pretty big recruit and succeeded. John Beck was too.
Yeah.
Both out of Arizona, right? Both out of Phoenix.
Taysom?
I think
no. Taysom was like Idaho, right?
He was Idaho, and he was I don't know how big time a recruit. He definitely was one of those guys that had a vibe around him when he stepped on campus. You know what I mean?
I'm sure he looked like he was 21 years old when he was 16.
Right.
He's just that man child. So
I don't know. Interesting thought.
Yeah,
but BYU certainly has landed big time quarterbacks in the past, and we'll see what happens.
It would be great if you landed him. It just doesn't matter if you don't, because how confident are we that these players are ever going to be good or see the field to the point you just said? And that was before the wackiness of the transfer portal.
Right.
So,
all right, what's next?
Number 3, in case you missed it, the Los Angeles Lakers sold for a record $10 billion, highest professional franchise sale ever.
I'll be curious how much of the Lakers the buses hold on to if we ever get that number.
I doubt it.
Is it 49%? Is it 40%? Is it 10%? Do they want out entirely?
Well, obviously they don't want out entirely. This feels like a Lakers or a bus family. I want my cake and eat it too, where we're going to sell a controlling, but I'm going to get it in writing. Because did you see all that where they said that Mark Cuban didn't get it in writing? Because this very same thing happened to Mark Cuban when he sold Dallas. He said, I'm still going to be the guy.
He thought he was going to be basically the president of basketball operations.
Yeah. And they stepped in and they said,
no, sir.
Never mind.
Yeah.
And he said, I should have gotten that in writing.
Yeah.
So now Jeannie's getting it in writing, which I honestly don't think will mean much. I bet you the Lakers change pretty drastically how they run things, and I'd be surprised if she's around more than, I don't know, Ben, a couple of years. Or at least around in more than just I don't know, what do you call it when Shaq buys part of the Kings?
Yeah, it's
public face of it or whatever.
Yeah. I think what will be interesting is you could argue, and you would, one of the things that has held the Lakers back from just dominating the NBA with the advantage of being in LA and the history is that they have over-romanticized their history and let those people hang around, a la Kurt and Jeannie Rambis and Magic Johnson and these people who shouldn't have anything to do with the basketball decision-making make decisions. And so if the new owners come in and let different people make smart decisions, they might be a much bigger juggernaut than they have been.
They'll be better. They'll be more well-run.
Yeah.
We've talked about it on the show a lot.
They don't need more advantages already.
That Mickey Mouse title covered up a lot of gross mismanagement.
Really, since the Gasol Kobe era ended, they've been underperforming as much as anybody in the NBA.
Bad decision after bad decision. And remember that Jeannie knifed her brother to wrest control of basketball decisions. What was his name? Jim? Where Mitch Kupchak and Jim were like, it's not all right. Okay, we're gone.
Yeah.
And we're gone. Because the old man wanted Jim to take over the basketball part, and Jeannie was going to run the overall organization. Yeah. And then Jeannie pushed out Jim, and it's been bad the whole time. Magic was the one who landed LeBron, if you want to think about that. And LeBron didn't even come because
of the basketball product.
No, he came because he wanted to make a studio and thought this was the best thing for his brand or whatever. And the Lakers are the best brand in the NBA regardless.
Yeah, as they just showed by selling for $10 billion.
Man, I'd tell Jeannie and be like, dude, just buy an island. It's cool.
You know who I would feel weird today would be LeBron. This is a team that's going to turn over a new leaf and start building around the guy. And look, they did this with Shohei right away, right? They had Mookie Betts. They won a World Series before they had Shohei. They had come back.
They
were
won
winning
a Mickey Mouse title.
They also won a 2020 title. But they won, and Mookie Betts was probably the best player in baseball. And the second they could go get Shohei, they went and got Shohei, and now it's the Shohei show.
Do you remember who owned the Dodgers before?
Who was it?
His name was Frank McCourt.
I know the name, yeah.
Bozo to genius scale, he would be like 90% bozo.
He's the parking lot guy.
But the 10% is really good. 90% bozo, but the 10% is pretty brilliant.
That's a really ugly divorce, right?
He lost the franchise because he got divorced, and Major League Baseball basically pushed him out because he couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
And so the new ownership group stepped in and bought it for, we'd have to go look at what billions they bought it for or whatever. And he kept the parking lot.
So funny.
He sold the stadium, he sold the franchise, and he kept the parking lot. So he's still putting nothing but sweet cash in his pocket
That is the funny thing. We talk about how there's no liquidity in owning a sports franchise. One of the places you get it is owning the parking lot.
Owning the parking lot.
Quite literally liquid money coming in. Like, it's just cash dollars at the door.
And all you have to do is pave it once every 10 years.
We'll paint it. We'll paint it. We'll pave it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, it'll cost us a few million, but I make a few million
every game.
homestand. Yeah. Great. Yeah, it is one of the great deals.
All I have to do is pay the teenager in the parking lot to go, only $70, sir.
Yeah, right. My son and his friends run the parking lot for me. The overhead is nothing. But I'm a trillionaire.
The 10%, really brilliant.
It's great.
But as far as running a franchise went, he was...
all bozo.
All bozo. All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
Eric Weddle, kind enough to join us. You find out you're up for the College Football Hall of Fame. What's your first thought when you get that phone call?
Just humbled by it all, quite honestly. I think I have a real shot at the College Football Hall of Fame. I don't think I have any shot at the NFL Hall of Fame. So when I look at the College Football Hall of Fame, I think, I belong there at some point, whether it's now or 10 years from now. Like, I think I belong as one of the best college football players to have played the game. So whenever it happens, or if it happens, like, you guys know me, I live life to the fullest. It's not going to change whether I fall asleep at 10 o'clock or midnight. I got many other things that are on my mind. But it's really humbling and truly honored, obviously, and know that it took coaches, players, faculty, family, wife, kids. Like, it doesn't happen alone.
Catch Hans and Scotty weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us?
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you can win big every Wednesday on the KSL Sports Zone with Win Ticket Wednesday. This Wednesday, win tickets to the Summer Unity Tour featuring Collective Soul and live with special guest Our Lady Peace, July 13th at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. Get your tickets now at livenation.com or listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day on Wednesday for your chance to win. Ben, we're going to be heavy draft. Coming up in the 11 o'clock hour, we're going to talk to Richie O'Leary, publisher for Rutgers Rivals. And then at 11:45, he's the host of Chucking Darts podcast.
Just Chuck.
Just Chuck.
Chuck's going to join us from the Chucking Darts podcast.
We don't have a last name.
We're going to try and get
been trying to get a last name for days.
Well, I listened to his podcast. He just goes by Chuck. And I like his podcast quite a bit. And I thought, let's get him on. And I emailed him, and he texted me back yesterday. It was like 3 weeks ago. And so Chuck's a little mysterious. So I like that aspect of it, too.
So was the draft.
And you know what? Chuck recognizes that.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. So I'm excited to talk to him.
Sounds like a fine fellow.
I like him because he's not like, I know this is true about the draft, which is exactly right. Nobody knows. Still the mystery. There's all these fans now. This Ace Bailey stuff is getting so goofy. He's not working out for teams. He was only going to work out for the Sixers. He canceled his Sixers workout. And, it's weird, and we don't know the whole story. But, I think that's what people have to accept. You don't know the whole story. There is information behind the scenes that teams have and, agents have and GMs have that they know why some of this stuff is happening. And they're not going to leak it because they just don't leak things. He's either got a promise somewhere, and he knows he's not falling past somebody, so he's not working out for them. Or he's doing phone interviews, or he's dealing with an ankle injury, or he's under the weather, or something, but all this mystery, and now I've seen a lot of Jazz fans who are freaking out. They're like, "This draft's over. Ace Bailey doesn't want to come here and my favorite guy's going to be off the board at 4. You just literally have no idea what's going to happen. I promise you, nobody knows what's going to happen until the Jazz are on the clock.
No.
At all.
One problem with journalism these days, in my opinion, is that we are way too reliant on anonymous sources. You know, it used to be a thing where you only used anonymous sources when absolutely necessary. Other than that, people had to be on the record, name on the thing. Now that it's anonymous sources for everything and everybody just putting out whatever on social media, like, leaks is the right word. It's all self-interested.
Sure.
None of it's true. It's all self-interested from one place or another. You could tell when Anthony Davis was going to be traded from the Hornets to the Lakers, you could tell where the news was coming from based on who was reporting it. Because if it was good news for Anthony Davis or the Lakers, it was coming from Windbag and your guy Shams. If it was good for the Hornets or for David Griffin, it was coming from Woj.
Yeah.
And every day we would have some sort of conflicting report to that reporter. Probably neither story was true at that point.
Right.
But it was just whipping public perception in order to manipulate to get what you want. As opposed to Woj having to go on the air or in his article and saying, David Griffin of the Hornets told me, he can go anonymous sources. That could mean the guy who delivered coffee. It could mean Mr. Hugo C. Hornet himself.
Sure.
It implies, and it could be nobody. You and I both know somebody, and don't guess because they're not relevant or here anymore. But you and I both know somebody that completely manufactured news out of their backside.
Rear end, yeah. Yes, right. Fake sources, yeah.
Are telling me blah.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just such a cop-out. And we don't need to get lost down the rabbit hole. But the point is, you don't know. I mean, these franchises probably don't know. There's a reason you always wait till the last second.
Right. And
there's always a reason.
I think one of the things we do poorly, we being reporters, and I've done it wrong too. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to put myself above people. But I can't tell you the number of times in my articles I have to erase a source told me or an anonymous source told me because I will read it where it says a source has told KSL Sports. I'll read it as I'm writing. I'm kind of editing my own articles. And then I'll delete that and I'll read it and it says the exact same thing. So why do you even include it? Like if it's just word garbage of putting anonymous source told me, I know I'm a trusted source on the Jazz. I know people read my articles and listen to it and either aggregate it or talk about it or whatever. I understand that that's the authority that comes with doing this radio show, having a credential, et cetera, et cetera. Just putting that in my articles sometimes, I get it like makes it sound more salacious and more exciting because maybe I did get it from somebody at the Jazz. Like, who cares, actually?
No, it's just a brag.
It's just a brag. And it's like, is the quality of the information good, or is the information only good when it's contextualized by a source told me?
Well, obviously.
And if it's not good information unless the source told you, then you should probably just leave it out of your story.
Yeah.
Because who cares?
Wow, that's something. What is more important? The news. You know, the thing people are actually reading about.
Or who said it?
Or Ben Anderson.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's
not what I'm saying.
That's a pretty difficult choice.
Okay,
that
your
is
gymnastics.
That is a pretty difficult choice, I got to admit, because I do like you and am curious as to your thoughts. I do have more access than most, though.
Probably depends on the news, right?
Yeah, it does depend on the news.
Good point.
But okay, you know what? And I will throw you under the bus because I know you have anonymous sources. And I know when some of your takes come from anonymous sources. And you know what I've never heard you say on the show? A source told me. Because you recognize that's not the value. And I credit you for that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I am very important, though.
It's not what I said. I'm just saying you are in a position where people listen to what you say and regurgitate it. And not in a bad way. It's part of the value of the show.
I know. I get misrepresented all the time. People come up to me on the street and say, I can't believe you said that. It's like, Ben said that. All right, stay tuned. We're going to talk a lot of draft in the 11 o'clock hour. Richie O'Leary coming up next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Take the Zone with you wherever you go. Download the KSL Sports app to get live streaming of your favorite shows.
Downloading.
Download the latest podcasts and get all the latest breaking news on the teams you can't live without. Everything you need delivered right to your phone.
Let's go get them where we can get them.
Just search KSL Sports on your app store of choice. Download it now. The KSL Sports app, presented by University of Utah Health.